What's up, y'all? This is Brave, and I'm back with another review of SISTAS. This is Season 8, Episode 2, and the episode is titled Tea Time. So, here's the thing. We start this episode off with Agent Watt being completely pissed off because Robin has showed up to basically save the day, okay? And here's the thing. The way the agent is talking to Andy has been disrespectful the whole time. Actually, the way he's been talking to anybody who he's interviewed has been disrespectful. However, Robin is like, well, she not being charged with nothing, so baby, we about to leave, okay? Especially because Gary ain't even dead. So now Andy's like, what do you mean Gary's not dead? You told me that he was dead. And the agent was like, listen, I didn't disclose that because I need to see how you would act if he was dead. So I'm just like, all right. So now we playing games. And what happens? Andy ends up leaving with Robin. Okay. Now moving on from there, we go on to see Hudson, right? He talking to the doctor. And I mean, the doctor is just telling this man everything that's going on with Gary. And I'm just like, well, hold on. Hudson ain't next of kin. Like, he just some guy that Gary work with. Like, how is he getting all this information? But nonetheless, Hudson, he's like, you just make sure that he's taken care of because money is no option. I'm like, money? What do you mean? Y'all just had the feds coming for y'all money. If anything, all y'all assets and everything should be frozen. But I digress because we completely forgot about that storyline. He basically goes on to say that this is all because of Andy. Okay? Hudson is putting it on thick that this is Andy's fault. I mean, baby, he is planting seeds everywhere. Okay? Now, moving on from that, we see Danny and Tony, right? She's still trying to sleep with this man. I said, baby, didn't we already get this scene in the last episode? Well, how are we back here? And then, on top of that, I really don't even care about Danny and Tony in this capacity because my real question is, what happened to Tony and his kids and that ex-wife? Did she pack the kids up and go wherever she was going? Like, what's going on there? Because I don't even care about Danny trying to sleep with him. I really do not. Like, he pushed her off and it was what it was. She ended up walking in her room. I don't care. Where is Tony and them kids and that ex-wife? Because the last time we saw these heifers, it was given he was thinking about moving wherever they were going. Because he had to be around his kids. Or am I tripping? But we gonna move on. So, next thing you know, we see Tamara and Hayden, right? Now, she want to know where he going because he over just packing his carry-on. And he's like, oh, I got a work trip. So, they end up talking about Gary and how, he wasn't really Hayden's friend. Which, I mean, that ain't no lie. He was definitely using Hayden for his own personal benefit. She talks about how she heard that Gary was in the ICU. And I'm just like, where you getting all this info from? How she heard about it. I'm like, heard from where? Like, I don't think the news would continue to report about Gary. It's not like he was the mayor. But nonetheless, she's trying to see if Hayden did it, okay? Because she's like, you found out that I cheated on you, so you were probably jealous. And she basically threatens him and says that, she'll tell the FBI to put him on the top of the suspect list. I said, oh, okay, girl, we playing this game? Did you do it? Tamara, was it you, girl? But moving on from that, y'all, we see Sabrina and Rich. It annoys me every time Rich is on my screen, okay? They over here trying to get frisky on the couch, right? And I'm like, this is interesting. This is the polar opposite of Tony and Danny, okay? This man out here whispering sweet nothings in her ear and all of this stuff. And the only reason why they did not sleep with each other was because she said, oh, I have to wait 2 weeks because, they just harvested my eggs. And I just find it very interesting that A lot of people have been coming down on Danny like, oh my gosh, she's just trying to sleep with Tony, blah, 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 blah. However, in this scenario, ain't nobody said nothing about Rich and Sabrina. I find it to be so interesting. Like, I know Danny has had her traumatic experiences. However, this right here is the same situation. Sabrina was about to get the D. The only thing that stopped her was the fact that it was going to hurt her. That was the only thing that stopped her. Danny tries to get the D. Oh, it's an issue. I'm just like, okay, whatever. Like, to me, it's the same thing. But here's the thing. Back to Sabrina. She tells that man, oh, I gotta wait 2 weeks. Y'all, he acted like 2 weeks was gonna kill him. Like, oh, 2 weeks. Whoo, that's a long time. But, you know, I'm gonna try to prove it to you. Negro, what was you doing before you was dating her? Like, were you just sleeping with random women? Like, what's going on here? 2 weeks is not even a long time. Like, come on now. Moving on. Because I promise y'all, Rich get on my nerves. We see Pam and Karen, right? Now, I did crack up when she called them babies Aaronisha and Zakisha. I said, oh, Lord, let's not do those names. But she ends up bringing breakfast for Karen or whatever. And really, she's there to get tea on Gary. However, Karen is not trying to even have that conversation. And honestly, the rest of that little scene, it was cute or whatever, but I don't even remember what they talked about. I really don't. After they talked about how she wasn't going to tell her about Gary, I think she may have asked Pam to, like, do something with some boxes or something, chap. Doesn't really matter. Moving on. We see Zach and Fatima, okay? Now, she about to leave for work, however, Zach has already created a suspect board. I said, that's how you know you ain't got nothing to do. You ain't got no job, Zach. My God. I mean, to the point where he even had a knife as a prop on the board. I said, you know what, I can't. I cannot with you. So she basically tells him that Gary isn't dead, but they still want to figure out who tried to kill him, right? I'm just like, okay. I guess this gives Zach something to do on SISTAS, okay? Because he's over there running amok on Zatima. But nonetheless, we see Andy and Robin. They get to her apartment. And Robin is trying to figure out, girl, why were you trying to marry Gary? Okay? Of course, she doesn't give an answer. But then she questions how he knew that she was being interrogated. So he tells her, like, oh, you know, a former colleague told me that one of my top attorneys was, you know, getting interrogated and whatever. Here's the thing. She then asks him, why is he back when he's supposed to be opening up the UK division? Now, y'all, I'm confused. I could have swore that they already did the UK division. Maybe I'm tripping. Because remember, he kept flying back and forth. So where the hell was he flying back and forth from? Like, I could have swore they already had the UK division. But nonetheless, I'm even more confused because I'm trying to figure out what the hell was that Gary and Hayden situation against Robin. Because I feel like the whole point was the fact that they said that he had to get a certain amount of money by a certain time. He supposedly went to like some loan shark to get the money. And then we never saw that man again. So I'm like, I thought he didn't even work at the firm no more. Like, what are we watching? I'm confused. Like, am I tripping? Like, they literally, I think he went to go work on another project, but they ended so abruptly when he left. I'm like, this don't even make sense how he's back, because it was absolutely giving that he don't work for the company anymore, because we had Gary and Hayden celebrating that he wasn't there. Y'all know what I'm saying? Like, am I tripping? Moving on, though. We get back to Hayden And he basically says that, Tamara may have been the one that stabbed Gary. So he gave this whole scenario or whatever. And she's like, no, it's probably because you were jealous. Blah, zay, blah. So here's the thing. At one point, he calls her out her name, saying that, you're not worth doing time over. Now, at this point, she basically was pissed off, livid at that point, and she was about to put hands on him. But what stopped it was the fact that he grabbed her arm. I was like, oh, this escalated real quick, okay? So he goes on to talk about how he made a copy of the video of her and Gary, but now she claiming that it was fake. I'm like, what is going on with these two? Like, I guess she was trying to make it seem like she was going to blackmail Gary. But also at the same time, these two realize that they need to be each other's alibi. I'm like, get these two off my screen. This is just too much for me. Like, and then for Tamara to be like, instead of shaking his hand so that they agree that they're going to use each other's alibis, she ends up going down on Hayden. So I'm like, girl, you be complaining about the D from him, yet you keep messing around with Hayden. So clearly there's something keeping you around. Moving on from there, we see Rich and Sabrina yet again. Now, she seems very distracted at this point, and they have a moment that they say something about Andy. Now, we know that Rich don't like Andy. And here's where things got a little bit weird for me. He says that he's going to the fertility clinic to give a sample, right? And I'm just like, wait a second. I'm trying to follow this storyline with Sabrina, but I'm just like, I think it's interesting that these two aren't even going to try to have the baby naturally. Am I the only one who's kind of weirded out by that? I'm like, wait a second. So I get that she was going to freeze her eggs. So now we're to the point where she's going to freeze embryos? When is she supposed to have this baby? Because I feel like these two can absolutely try to have this baby naturally now, considering he said he want to have kids with her. Like, can we try that? Or is that not a thing anymore? I'm confused. Like, sir, just stop putting on a condom. Or, oh girl, Sabrina, let's not do birth control and see if y'all can have a baby naturally. No? Okay, cool, whatever. We're gonna continue with the storyline. So, next thing you know, she questions if he really wants to do this and have kids. Now, he swears that he's ready for all of this. Okay, cool. We want to make a baby with no commitment. Cool. We want to make her a baby mama. Just great. Moving on from that, y'all, Tony, he done whipped up some breakfast. And my question is, how are we not? How are we not in the afternoon at this point? Like, what time did y'all go down to the courthouse? To the interrogation room to get questioned? Like, my God, how is it still morning? But nonetheless, Danny gets upset because she feels like he needs to let her handle all of her therapy sessions and her mental health, right? And also she tells him that, if she asked him to sleep with her, then he basically should do it. So it's giving she's still pissed off. Now, I will say this. I do kind of see where Danny is coming from, because let's just admit it, men have had a history of whenever they going through something, they frustrated, whatever, they got to get their rocks off. They do it all the time. So Danny's just the reverse. It is what it is. Moving on. We see Pam and Karen again, and basically she done boxed up whatever she needed to box up, And Karen ends up asking Pam about Roots to Riches, I believe. So Pam is telling her how, Miss Willis, she wants to see a business plan. However, Pam, she don't really know how to write a business plan. She knows how to take photos. She knows how to promote. She knows how to do all the things on social media. Writing out a business plan, that's just not her forte. So Karen, she's like, I can help you with that because I had to write a business plan for my own business. And she's like, there's free grants for, women of color, Black women who are starting a business and all these things, and we could do all these things for Roots to Riches. And I'm like, well, with Marie as an investor, I don't know how y'all gonna get all these grants, but okay. Just because I'm like, Marie has so much money, I don't even know what y'all need grants for, but maybe so. I don't know how much she's really investing. Now, moving on from there, we see Sabrina and Rich again. I said, oh my God, this is way too much of me seeing these two together. He basically says that, he don't want to get stressed. No, he doesn't want her to get stressed out because I think she was about to be on her way to work. And he really don't want her to think about Andy in the situation because Andy got herself into this. Okay? This man feels like all of this is Andy's fault. And she's like, Andy, she wouldn't want any of her girls to, get in trouble or anything like that. However, Rich has already decided in his mind he don't rock with Andy. Ever since she broke up with Jordan, he ain't rocked with her. Okay? Now, moving on, we see Hayden and Tamara. They done had a quick session, and this man, he basically apologized for the foul stuff that he said about her to her face, and then she ends up apologizing for messing around with Gary. Now, these two agree that the slate is clean. However, we can clearly see that these two are using each other. So we'll have to see how that unfolds. Moving on from there, we're back with Fatima and Zach. Now, he mentioned something about being a stay-at-home dad. I said, okay, finally. This man can admit that he ain't got no damn job. I've been waiting for that. Because Zach, he don't have a job. Like, I don't even understand how that household is flourishing. It must be all off of Fatima's funds. Like, he may have gotten that money, but y'all, that money should have dwindled by now. Let's be for real. Like I said, she got to go to work. And Zach basically tells her to be careful around Hayden. All right, now, we get to this last scene, y'all. Robin is getting comfortable at Andy's house. He making tea. I'm like, sir, what is going on here? He brings up Jordan, and she's like, oh yeah, we dated. And then she's like, I got back with Gary, but it was not by choice. So Robin is like, okay, did he try to blackmail you? Like, what is going on? She don't want to talk about it. It's like, girl, if he's supposed to be a lawyer, he got to know something. Why are you acting like this? So he asked her if she's still in love with Jordan. And she's like, yeah, I should actually go over there now. And Robin was like, yeah, I'm not letting you go over there. And she's like, what do you mean, let me? And, I don't need your approval. And here's the thing, girl. As your lawyer, he is supposed to advise you on the best way of how to handle this situation, and he goes completely against this. You cannot go see Jordan, okay? You were just supposed to marry Gary. So you need to go down to that hospital and act like you are so distraught that this man could die. And she's like, well, I don't want to go down there to the hospital to be with Gary. Baby, you better play that role up before they think that you stabbed him. Okay? You better play the role up. So, his whole point was that it would look very crazy, okay? And it would. It would look crazy that Andy doesn't go see Gary, but then she's floating around the city with Jordan. And he's like, you don't think people are already not following you? Like, there's people looking at you to see what your next move is. Now, next thing you know, who comes to her door? Y'all, why are the sisters here? Why is Karen, Danny, and not Fatima, and Sabrina, why are they at this girl's door? What? I'm confused. Like, were y'all getting interrogated at 4 a.m. in the morning? How do y'all have time? How do y'all have time to go get interrogated? Go back to y'all houses. Some of y'all go laid up with their man. Okay? Then you decide to come all the way to Andy's house. Then y'all gonna go to work. Baby, y'all doing too much at the top of the morning. Too much at the top of the morning for me. But y'all, that was the episode. Let me know what y'all thought about it. Go ahead and like, comment, and subscribe to my channel. And I will talk to y'all in my next review. Bye, guys.